the off night. So it's a show that's actually been going on for quite a long time. I know your new viewers, all two of you. This could be a little striking. It's about, well, we're a couple of old comedians talking about old comedy, and we're trying to relate it in some respect. But we'll talk about many things throughout the evening. I myself am an English major. I can't do writing, but I can do like English accents. Hello, how are you? Oh yes, Monty Python. Apples and pears up the stairs and away. So I got a B in English studies. Anyway, let us let us get on with the show with your host and MC, Mark Sweetman.
Hey, good to see. Hey, that worked better than I thought it was going to work. Oh my gosh! Except I don't have any headroom. That worked great. You said, "Here's Mark Sweetman," and it went right to me, like I knew what I was doing here. Let me get my title up here. Hold on, I got to get my shoot. Here it is. Okay, right here. Mark Sweetman, host and unqualified tech advisor.
There we go.
There you go.
Man.
Hard to believe I used to be an IT director for a company one time, but it did. It happened, but it goes away because technology moves on. So, all right, let me get out of solo layout here. There we go. That's my friend Andy, my co-host.
Guys. Well, hello. Well, yeah, it's been kind of interesting week. We got all those 1776 signs out of mothballs about not having a king. You know.
Oh yes. Did we have a tea party at all, or?
Yeah. Well, they had the tea party. They still had them in mothballs, so they got to get them out of the storage facility, get them all back in good use.
Do we have Minutemen? How's that working out?
But it said "Ye Old King," you know, not just "Get rid of the king." It says "Ye Old King," you know. The snake was cut up.
Well, I think even better. I think even better than the 4.2 million or whatever it was they estimate protested was the less than 10,000 that showed up for the King's Parade. So that was kind of nice.
Yeah, as they choose up the streets of Washington, you know. So
somebody forgot to tell him that part of being a dictator is you have to order people to come to your parades.
Yeah, that's.
Did Kim Jong-un teach him nothing? Come on.
I guess not. Not really, you know. He has got to. You got to be worshiping him as a god. You know, it's like, you know, Kim Jong-un is the god. He's a living god. So
yeah, the problem with that is that once they die, then how do you explain that? If they were a god, how do they die?
Oh, it's you know, I have no idea. I don't know how to you know, all I know is that they're just starving and they wish they could leave. That's basically it.
See, the only time that happened was when Christ did it, when he resurrected. But he wasn't a leader of anything. His orders were, once he resurrected, was, all right, go out and do what I told you to do. Be nice to people, be good to people, help people, do all the things that are right and just, not rule with an iron heavy fist, you know.
Not make people not be able to leave. It's, you know, it's something like you're like Billy Mummy in that Twilight Zone episode, you know. Send them to the field, you know. It's like, yeah.
Yes.
But anyway,
right, well, I can't talk about my week. It's very personal, and we're going to let some time go through what happened to me this week. Let's just say I'm here. I made the show last night. Next week, we will not be having a show on Monday. We'll talk about that, whether we want to do it Tuesday or just skip it next week. Susan and I are going to New York for Sam Greenfield's memorial. So we'll be on an airplane Monday. And we tried to do it from an airplane once before. I don't know if you remember that. Do you remember that?
That didn't go so well.
That did not go so well. It almost went... It almost went as bad as when I tried to do it from a car near the marina out in L.A. Both of them.
Set off the defense alerts. Like, somebody on board. He has a radio. He's trying to communicate. Something's going on.
Anyway, we always start our show off with a little discussion with you. I think we've had enough. Let's get to Susan. Susan comes on and she reads our news headlines in verse. So let's add her.
Hello.
Hey.
No, we are not leaving town. We are not. All
Oh,
four
I'm
of
sorry.
the viewers, we don't
I-
leave town. We're staying
I-
here.
I forgot. We
Oh,
don't leave
yes.
town. We don't leave town. In fact, we
What an
rarely
idiot.
leave. We rarely leave our heavily armed rooms, as the way.
Well, what else?
And
what-
when we
you-
leave
yeah.
our heavily armed rooms, our guns
I
are
have-
always cocked and aimed towards any intruders. So
Well, I never leave town, so I use the spare room all the time.
The security cameras are up and we're not leaving. So there you have it.
That's
Yeah, there you
right.
have
I never leave their apartment. You see, I actually live with
with the
Mark
Sweetmans,
and
Should we choose to go anywhere?
Do you want
We're
the
not
laundry
letting-
done again? Is that what you want? You know?
Should we choose to go anywhere, we will post about it after we're back.
I am a good house sitter, so worry not.
thank God we only have 4 viewers. All right. Are you ready to give us your poem, Susan?
Sure, I guess I could do that.
Yeah,
Well,
paranoia.
if you're not ready,
of the city.
we can lead into it a little bit more. We can do some more of this absolutely riveting gabbing.
Paranoia in the city.
No? All right. We're going to put Susan on for her poem. Here's this week's headlines in rhyme.
Here you go. News this week is particularly bleak. Minnesota House Speaker Melissa Hortman assassinated, along with her husband, on Saturday, the news stated. Vance Bolter, now in custody for taking of life, also accused of wounding State Senator Hoffman and his wife. A Russian soldier tried for battlefield executions in Ukraine, and that war is not the only one. The world has gone insane. Attacks broaden on day 4. Hear the bombs whistle. Israel struck Iran's state TV station with a missile. There are protesters in Los Angeles. They are angry about ICE. Things not better in Spain. Thought Barcelona would be nice. We do not like what's happening, say protesters in Spain. Demonstrators against tourism, said their signs and their refrain. France's Macron is visiting Greenland, showing European support. Greenland is not for sale, dear Trump, was the overall retort. That's your poem.
All right. Thank you very much. Let's get Jason out here. Get the whole gang. Yeah, get the whole gang out here. And God, this is going way greater. This is way better than it's ever gone before.
Oh, wow.
I just don't understand how every button I push does what I want it to do. I don't understand this. This is so
See,
different.
all you had to do was make the bargain with the dark tech lord.
You just have to push the right button, honey.
There you go. Exactly. Hail the tech lords. Hail.
I summoned the spirit of Stephen Jobs.
Oh, he just went down to a kindergarten and got somebody to work on his stuff. Yeah, a bunch of kindergartners and he got it to work.
Yeah, I saw a kid on a trike and I said, "Hey kid, you know how to do this?
Just come over here. Why don't you put on this turtleneck and fix my
computer?"
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. You haven't entered the first grade yet, have you? Come here. You know what you're doing.
Come here. You know exactly what you're doing. All right.
Any stories you want to talk about from the news?
Yeah, the Barcelona one. What's on going on in Barcelona? They don't like tourism and they're
the
protesting?
people that live there. I guess there's too many Airbnbs or such that there's over tourism, so that the people that live there cannot afford to live there anymore.
That's happening here. That's happening here too.
Yes, it
Rent
is.
control.
So they're very angry at the outrageous rents and so forth, and they're blaming it on tourism. So a
They
lot
should
of
do what Detroit does.
protesting.
Just make it a shithole that nobody wants to go to.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yes, you don't have any riots in Minsk over people visiting.
Detroit hasn't really. Detroit needs to do what Rome does. Make its ruins some sort of historic thing, Oh yeah,
I tell you what.
Notice the ruins of
You know,
Detroit. Yes.
We just spent 3 years taking down the Packard plant. That was a huge tourist attraction.
Yeah.
People going to see the. They were.
Yeah,
We
are the
had
Packard fan. Yes, the
we
ruins of the
had
Packard
in Detroit. We had the first 20th century ruins. Instead of having people look at the ruins, we tore them down. So now there's nothing to see here.
Yeah, but we have Flint Auto World still, right? I mean that.
Oh, that beautiful Flint Auto World.
I made
Mark
Susan
and I
laugh.
once
Oh my
won.
God.
We won
Hold the
tickets
waterworks.
to Flint Auto World
Oh,
on a
no.
We did.
radio show, and
Oh
we didn't
no.
go.
Oh, you
Yeah, we
did.
won tickets and we still didn't go
Free
to Flint Auto.
tickets.
Yeah, free
Heretics.
tickets. We still didn't go.
You
I
should be
did.
cast
You
into
know
the
what made
lake of
Flint Auto-
fire.
What made Flint Auto World all that more special and famous was when Bob Eubanks and Miss Michigan were on the float together for the parade in Michael Moore's movie.
Ah,
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
oh yeah. Yeah.
Remember
Kehlani
that?
Ray Roscoe. Yep.
Yeah, Ray Lonnie,
I
Ray
met her,
Roscoe,
by the
and
way.
Bob Eubanks.
I
Oh,
met
cool.
her. She came to our church once as the speaker at a banquet I was at, so I got to meet her.
All right
And?
then. Yeah.
All
She
right,
was
all
a
right.
nurse. That's the nice part about her.
Okay, I'm gonna top that. I met Max von Sydow at the Michigan Theater. There.
There you
Wow.
go.
That's a good one.
There you go.
What was he there for?
A Swedish film festival, no joke. So
Nice.
I got to see Ingmar Bergman's the one where he plays chess with death, and a couple other movies that he'd been in besides the Exorcist or 3 Days of the Condor.
Wow.
You know,
Well,
so
he was in the Seventh Seal. He was the one who was playing with
Yeah.
death.
yeah, I mean, and by the way, he really is a very tall man. I met him, and he's like 18 feet tall. I mean, he's huge.
He was also
A
with
Goliath.
her sisters, you know.
Yeah, I just did. So
Was Ingrid Bergman there?
no.
She's who I would have liked to have met.
I would like to meet Ingrid Bergman. That would be fun. I would love to meet Lauren Bacall someday. I mean, she's got to still
They're
be
both
alive,
gone.
right?
They're both gone. They're both
Well,
gone.
McCall's gone.
Oh my God, her stories about Humphrey Bogart are amazing. If you ever go online and listen to them,
That's why
You
we
know,
have
just-
YouTube for the old stories.
yeah, I know. I saw an old Johnny Carson episode that I put up there on our little private channel just because it came straight out of 1973 and was
I
sort of
saw
uncut.
that you put the whole episode on there.
Yeah.
I've only watched the monologue to that one. I haven't seen the whole show. I got to go back and
It's
watch
just kind of fun to see some of the commercials and what. Hey, how about? Does anyone remember when we had blatantly racist commercials well into the 70s, like the ancient Chinese secret?
Yes.
Ancient Chinese. Oh yeah, Calgon.
How do you
Calgon,
get your
ancient
clothing? How do you
Chinese
get this so
secret.
quick? Ancient Chinese,
Ancient Chinese secret, eh?
I
And
mean,
not only racist, but cheats as well. I mean, they're
Yeah.
cheating on the way they're doing their.
this isn't a Chinese secret at all.
It's not a secret, it's a recipe, but it's like a recipe for cleaning clothes. You rinse the starch off the rice and you use that starch water in the laundry. Ta-da!
Well, Thank you, Susan, who the last time I was at their place, I was in a pit and Susan was looking at me going, it puts the laundry in the basket or it gets the hose turned on it again.
There you go.
Okay, it's a silence of the land. What do you want from me, people? Come on, I am who I am. I mean,
I am
whatever.
Just like
What other
Popeye.
news
I
stories
am
you
what
want
I
to
am.
talk about? Anything I didn't include in the poem?
Oh, I don't know.
No,
I think
you alluded to nuclear Armageddon without actually mentioning it outright, which I think is actually kind of deft on your part. Nice touch.
nice touch. Yeah, exactly.
nice touch.
Exactly.
I like
Well,
that
tune in next-
Macron
tune in
went to
next week and see
Greenland.
how that's going.
Oh yeah.
Everyone's supporting keeping Greenland independent from away from Trump. So
Yeah.
Well,
sort of
Greenland's
the
not
middle
independent.
finger
It's
at President Trump.
it's Danish. Thank you very much. And
I'm so-
who
so
is
sick.
who
Europe
is
is supporting
the Danes?
Norway and the Danes, right? And
Denmark.
keeping Greenland not for sale, Mr. Trump.
Yeah.
Which reminds me, who is
Now,
it? Someone
Susan-
actually- Yes.
Susan, remember you were taking Danish? You were studying Danish for a while.
I was.
It turns out now this could have been helpful for you as we, need to invade Denmark or Greenland or whatever.
Uh-huh.
You could have come along. You could have been the. You could have been.
I can still speak it with Duo. Yeah.
You and Duo worked together on that one.
Sadly,
There
I
you
think
go.
Duo died, didn't he?
Well,
I had a woman from Brazil in my car, and I only had one
Did
word
Duo-
that I could do in Portuguese was obrigado.
Didn't they kill off the Duo owl?
The what?
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Let me check. I'm going to my Duolingo and see if they still have the Duo owl.
well, they didn't kill Moloch. That owl is still cooking. It's right behind me there. So,
There we
I
go.
mean,
Get rid of the owl. Why would they get rid of the owl? Is it a problem?
yeah, right behind you. You know that's where all the rich people go when they
That
get
looks like
tired
an
of
owl to
laughing
me.
at us.
You see him?
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah.
Hold on. Wait a minute. Gotta get my owl back here.
I'm worried about
Where's
the
that
owl.
freaking owl? I'm looking for the Duolingo owl.
He's dead.
Ah, shoot.
You're just looking at old
dear.
photos.
Well, then
Am I
tell you
look-
while you're
am I
doing
looking at
that,
old photos?
bring up the William Shatner Priceline ad so we can hear him sing once again.
Yes.
Hey, you know Shatner and
What does he say?
the who's the scientist from the astro.
Give it up, Mark. You're no good at that.
The astronomer are going to be
I
doing a
suck.
show in Seattle in I think in August.
Really?
Oh, you're talking about Shatner and
Yeah.
what's his name?
He's the astronomer.
think
He's a
it was-
physicist. I
Hey,
can't
think
remember.
about
Oh
Neil-
yes,
Neil-
they were
Neil
together on
Tyson?
Colbert, I think.
he's the physicist.
Yeah.
Neil
So we're gonna find-
deGrasse.
Neil
Neil
deGrasse.
deGrasse.
That's it.
Yeah, type.
Neil deGrasse Tyson.
So
Neil
I saw that
deGrasse,
interview.
yes.
Shatner
Yes,
is like
they're doing a show
unbelievable.
together in Seattle. Yeah.
He's 95 and he's just a
He's
bundle of energy.
very, very sharp and very charming.
I'm telling you, a lot of people don't like him for all the stuff he tries to stick his finger, but that keeps him alive.
Yeah.
He always has a paid personal appearance booked 6 months ahead of time.
Yeah.
Once he gets closer to that one, he books another one 6 months away. So he's always got something to live for.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to
The
have
guy-
to give
the guy
refunds,
went
and
into
it's not
space.
going to be him because he'll be dead.
Well,
The guy went into space when he was 90,
there you
I
go.
know.
Yeah.
I know.
I mean,
And what-
I have a lot of respect for him. He seems to
So
be a
do I.
decent human.
Yeah.
And he's a great talk show interview. Oh my!
He
every time he's on
is.
the show, I want to see it.
He
And
still
a
he
great
rides
was
talk.
in.
horses. He still does not ride horses. He's been doing it like he used to
Yep.
compete with them, but now he just kind of rides the horses and stuff like that.
And he was in one of the best mid-'70s drive-in theater horror flicks, The Devil's Reign, which also had Ernest Borgnine, John Travolta in one of his first movie appearances. No one knew what the movie was about, and as long as you were reasonably stoned on mid-grade 70s weed, it was a fun time. Great movie.
I saw William Shatner, a young William Shatner, playing the bailiff in the Nuremberg trials.
Trial. Yes.
yeah.
That's
He was
his-
the bailiff.
that's one of his first big movies.
Yep.
Right around that time, Roger Corman had him in a movie, and Corman, even he said it's the only movie Corman ever made that didn't make money. And it was a movie about integration. He tried
Ahead of its time.
a little bit.
Yeah,
And,
Corman
and
tried to get artsy.
and you, but
if
you
they
got it.
set it in a planet that the Enterprise visited, it would probably have been a good film,
Well,
or at least more lucrative at the box office.
and who could forget Bill Shatner losing his mind on the airplane, watching the thing, eating the airplane in bits and pieces, and no one else can see it. It's only him.
Was it Terror at 37,000?
1,000 feet, yeah. And if I'm not
And
mistaken,
that was a Richard Matheson short.
that was a Matheson story. All right, because Serling wrote so many of those. Rod Serling was just a certifiable genius. It's a pity he didn't live to be older, but I think given his level of output, he couldn't live to be much older.
but speaking of the bad
smoked like a
commercials, Zebart, it's us or rust.
Who was the Z-Bart? Who was the Z-Bart guy?
Rod Serling.
Oh, was it really? Oh, that's fun.
Yes,
I didn't know
Bieber,
that.
it's us or rust.
And let's not forget that it's the Z-Bart campaign that said "Russ never sleeps." That was then adopted by Neil Young and Devo, who both did musical numbers on that theme. Which one wouldn't think that you'd find a crossover between Neil Young and Devo, and yet if you go online, you will find it.
Yeah.
It happened.
Yeah.
Well, Shatner did Boston Legal too for like 4
Wasn't
years.
that
Yeah.
another one of the movies?
He did.
Or
He did
TV?
Star Trek, T.J.
Yes.
Hooker, Boston Legal. So,
Yeah.
and he did Rescue 911. So he did one
Yeah,
show
Rescue 911 was a good show.
So for
He-
NBC, he did Star Trek. For ABC, he did T.J. Hooker. For CBS, he did Rescue 911, and for Fox, he did Boston Legal. So he
Yeah,
did.
I mean,
he
as
covered
an
all 4
actor,
networks for the series.
he had a lot of the same range of just, sort of him, the same character, pretty
Just
much in
geniality.
any role. But I'll tell you what, I think he was really, really great when he did narration work, like
Yes.
Rescue 911,
He,
Superior.
he does the voiceover on a documentary on nuclear weapons where he is absolutely astounding. And what's also nice about it is that the music is done by the Moscow Philharmonic, which again, if you're going to be doing stuff on the atom bomb, having Russians play the music, it's exactly
That's perfect. Well,
Yeah.
my work here is done.
Yes.
So on that note,
Okay.
Good to see you, sweetheart. Thanks for coming by.
Well, there's a good movie called Senior Moment that he
Happy
does.
Father's Day.
Thank you.
It's
Bye.
it's a pretty neat movie. Senior Moment. Look it up. William Shatner.
That's the name of the
Okay.
movie, Senior Moment.
Senior Moment. Yeah, it's with the woman from Hacks. It's a very interesting thing. It's shot in Palm Springs. It's a comedy. It's a comedy in his senior years. So
My nephew was texting with me earlier in the day because he's at the airport waiting to board, and just to make life a little more miserable, he was watching Superman 2, and trying to figure out how they got Gene Hackman. And I said, Mitch, you have to understand, there's something called a payday. and for him, it was actually a pretty substantial payday.
Yeah, because you know what? I'll do Lex Luthor. I'll come in and work for 3 days, and you're going to give me a percentage of the film. That makes sense.
Oh yeah, well I explained that Jack Nicholson did something similar in the first Batman movie where he played the Joker for $36 million and a percentage of the toy sales. And everyone's like, well, how can you do that? And he's like, $36 million and a percentage of toy sales. It's easy. There's nothing to it. Again, trying to explain Michael Caine and Jaws 4.
Where does he get all those wonderful toys?
where does he get all those wonderful
that was his
toys?
big line. He probably had that line put into the film too, just so he could promote his toy sales.
Oh, the toys, yes.
Although his best bit of dialogue, I will still argue,
where did he get all those wonderful toys?
Had to come from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, when he's doing the initial intake with the doctor, who's also, by the way, a real psychiatrist. And he's total Randall P. McMurphy, and he completely dominates that scene, absolutely. Again, and how many years and decades did Jack able to rule from Chinatown, Five Easy Pieces? No one can forget the toast scene in the diner. Hold the chicken between your legs, and he was
in Easy Rider.
Yes,
goddamn knees.
The Last Detail. The ability of a good actor just to chew the scenery up. And again, another guy who, when you kind of took the handcuffs off and let him do something outside of his usual sort of nice guy persona, Henry Fonda in Sometimes a Great Notion. Also called Never Give an Inch.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Your arm's not broke anymore? Yeah, I took it off myself.
And then they lash it to the flagpole with the finger extended.
Yeah.
And roll it into town. And that
was a great scene when he was trying to keep his brother alive.
Yes. Right. By breathing and
waiting for the thing to lift.
and Lee Remick is in it, and she's kind of like set on like 5 or 6 instead of 11, but that's fine because it's absolutely perfect. And you get to look at Lee Remick on screen, and how bad is that?
Yeah.
And when
That's
you're
good.
trying to go up against Paul Newman, how do you play that?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe the best example of Paul Newman versus a female lead would be Patricia Neal in HUD, where she also, plays a smolderer who smolders, because HUD's,
Yeah, that wasn't her best. I don't think I think her best was Faces in the Crowd.
yes, yeah,
Yeah,
that's a great movie.
When she played Foundation.
Was that Sidney Lumet who did Faces in a Crowd? Is that one of his?
I don't think so. I'll take a look though.
And that was also was that Andy Griffith's first role?
Andy Griffith's film.
Or was that? Would that have been?
No Time for Sergeants was his first film.
Okay, no Time for Sergeants. All right, yeah.
No Time for Sergeants.
Who was he up against in that movie? Because it was another heavyweight.
Don Knotts, actually.
Okay.
Don Knotts was in that film. Face of the Crowd.
We're looking up something now?
We are. Who directed Face in the Crowd?
You guys are typing it in, and I got my Google here. Who directed Face in the Crowd? Elia Kazan.
Okay, all right. Elia Kazan. All right, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because against Sidney Lumet, his style is very Kazan-like. Given that they were somewhat of contemporaries, not too big. This is where Sam would come back from beyond the grave to remind us that Elia Kazan was a Rat Fink namer.
He named names.
He did.
He named names.
He did. Yeah.
Rod Steiger refused to go to the session when they gave him the Achievement Award.
Yeah, well, lots of people were still up. Of course, these are the same people who were applauding Roman Polanski long after he had been convicted and fled the country for raping a 13-year-old girl. But yeah, I mean, we have our standards, right? I mean, we can stand on our feet and applaud Roman, who is, by the way, a brilliant director, who is a brilliant artist, and who is a degenerate dirtbag who raped children. I mean, like I say, sometimes you got to separate the artist from the art, and it's not always easy to do. I mean, in Mapplethorpe's case, it certainly wasn't easy to do. But at least you knew who Mapplethorpe never pretended to be anything other than what he was. So there is that. At any rate.
Wow. Roman Polanski's still alive.
Sadly, yes. I think he just understands what's waiting for him on the other side, and maybe it's his wife and child to remind him that you shouldn't do bad things to children. Perhaps. I don't know. I'd like to think.
Well,
and again, it's pity because Chinatown's a brilliant movie. Go back and watch it. It's a brilliant damn film.
Which movie? Chinatown?
Chinatown, yeah.
Oh, yeah. So it's a great film.
It is. The guy knows what he's doing.
Yeah. Oh, he's a good director. No problem.
He has a son named Elvis.
Ah. Well, Leni Riefenstahl was a brilliant director, too. I mean, and some of her films, they're still talking about, She makes Triumph of Will. And by the way, if it makes you guys feel any better, Goering and Goebbels both hated her for it and did everything they could to interrupt the production because they felt she was getting too close to Der Fuhrer. Mm-hmm. And so they'd like get in the way of her camera setups and do all kinds of, but she still pulled it off.
Were they jealous of her?
Yes, absolutely. Hitler, and again,
because she was a better propagandist than they were.
Yes, exactly, precisely. And also, and that meant she had closer proximity to Der Fuhrer. And he brought her in again when they had the Olympics in Berlin. What, 2 years later, 35, 36?
Yeah, she's the one that made that film where Hitler comes out of the heavens. Is that her film?
Yeah, that's her. Yeah, she makes the perfect Nazi video.
Triumph of Will? Is that
when I was in film school, we studied that film.
You should.
Yeah.
As a just the same thing goes with who D.W. Griffiths, the Birth of a Nation. And
yep, we studied that one too.
Yeah, which is a brilliant film. The fact that it shows the Ku Klux Klan riding in to save the day.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, all right, that's a bit unfortunate to say the least. It's I'm not sure where you're going with this, but I don't know that I can go with you either. But
yeah, there's somebody else who was showing that down in Detroit. It's like
who was showing it,
and then that gets the irony of it. Almost.
Well, I had one of my best friends for many years, and he's passed away, and I miss him dearly. A proud black man, but showing
the Birth of the Nation in Detroit is like when they showed pink flamingos in Grosse Pointe. So.
Yeah. No, I mean he could give you a long diet or dissertation on the minstrelsy and various aspects of black theater and whatnot. I mean, it's amazing. And again, but this is an incredibly racist document. It's like, yeah, I understand that, but here's what you have to look for. And I could give you great insight into the movie. Whereas but then again, you're also dealing with people. This is something they grew up with. They were steeped in. They had to deal with it all the time. So there's not a real shock value to them. To people who grew up in a certain time. Nowadays,
yes.
Yeah. I mean, I grew up in a house where my mother had a large collection of what were called at one time race records, because they were like the Mills Brothers.
They were the best. When I was a kid,
the
ones my parents called the race records were the best records in their records.
In the house. Yes, I know.
Oh my God. And they didn't say race records like it was a bad thing. My parents had them. They bought them.
They were great.
That was the term for it, race records.
Red Fox albums, Red Talking Dirty. Yes. Oh, was it the best? The stuff that he got paid like $500 to record, and here you go, Red. There's your money.
Do you know who Rusty Warren and Woody Woodbury are?
No, tell me.
No, they were the white Red Fox. They did the part. They were the white people that did Party Animals. So the racists had those in their collection because they wouldn't have Red Fox albums. They would have Rusty Warren and Woodbury.
Okay. Yeah.
Woody's still around. Woody's I think Woody's like 102 or something like that. He's still around. He's down in Florida.
He'd have to be.
Wow.
I was trying to explain again.
Because I'm friends with him on Facebook. I met him when I used to work with Bob Posh. And so I was friends with him when he still ran his own Facebook page. I don't think he does it anymore. I think he has some staff or something to it. And he sold enough albums that he can have help for the rest of his life. You know what I mean? People that can.
If you were lucky enough to get royalty, Mr. Fox did not do so well. Up to and including, the IRS taking the jewelry off his neck. He had like a chain.
Now Rusty Warren started trying to work with the companies, but she eventually developed her own publishing company and her own record presser. Kind of like Jack White from White Stripes did that in Detroit. He ended up just ended up doing his own shit. Our friend, who's with Jack White's record company is our friend. Shit. All right, I'll think of his name here in a second. He's an unclubber.
To all you people out here, this is what happens when you have three old men whose memory ain't worth shit anymore.
Hey, say it. Keep that to yourself, Mister.
Okay,
What's your name again?
Wenzel. Brad Wenzel.
Brad Wenzel. There you go.
Wenzel. Yes.
There you go.
Brad Wenzel. His albums are published by Jack White's record, 3-Man Records.
Now,
I
think it was Third
Man Records. That's it. Third Man, not 3-Man. Third Man Records.
Third Man or third wave or third.
When I was in prison, Third Man meant something different, but never mind that. Mark's trying to eat.
Hey, we got to keep our protein up. Okay.
I just spent 9 hours driving a boat, so I had to eat sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
dear.
How does that go? How's your boat stuff do?
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Ready?
Best retirement job in America.
All right.
Best retirement job in America,
Nice.
Great.
without a doubt.
Yep.
I mean, it's like I'm getting paid, and it doesn't feel like I'm working.
Oh,
I feel like I
Nice.
should be paying. I feel like I should be paying them for being able to be on the boat all day long.
so
And
what
I get
is
the-
your
the-
pattern? What do you do when you get them on?
Well, first of all, there's two or three of us on the boat. Mostly there's three of us.
Right.
One is a driver. One is
Yeah.
a narrator. That's when you get to do your comedy.
Right.
And then one is basically the deckhand, the person that shoves the boat off, is in radio contact with the shore and the police, make sure all the tickets are taken by the basically he's the non-performer. He's the administrative guy, and we all rotate that position. So today I narrated 3, I administrated on 2, and I drove on 2. We had 7 tours today.
The professor, the millionaire,
The millionaire. Yep.
His wife. You've come on. You've heard this, Mark. Come on. Someone must have made the illusion at some point or another.
Well, do you have jokes or patter that you do?
I do some jokes. Here's the type of joke you do on a tour. Maple Beach was named after Maple Road. Those of you from Oakland or Macomb County may know it as 15 Mile. Although if we named it after 15 Mile, it'd be a little bit confusing because the beach is only 600 feet long. That usually gets a big laugh.
So is this what on the Huron River, or are you out on Lake St. Clair?
We're on the Huron River.
There you go.
Because down here in Ann Arbor, you pretty much could do it on a pontoon boat. It's a little different down here.
You're on the Huron River? I thought you were on Kent Lake.
Well, that's part of the Huron.
Kent Lake is an impoundment of the Huron River.
Oh, okay.
They put a dam up just south of let me see, it was south of Grand River Avenue, west of Kent Lake Road. There was a Kent Lake, but it was only 60 acres. And that 60 acres, after 2 years, they held it back in 46 and 47. When they opened up in 48, went from 60 acres to 1,200 acres.
That'll do it.
Now, and we know that if we got rid of those dams, that lake would be gone.
Yeah.
Because every at the end of every boating season, starting November 1st, we lower the water 3 feet by opening up the dam. That's all it takes.
There you go.
And we lower the water because it freezes and cuts into the shoreline like an ice cube tray, right? Water expands when it freezes, so does ours. And because we have sandy soil, we lower the water, so when it cuts in below the shoreline that we have.
So you don't want any Sanford situation happening.
No.
We also retain a lot of water. Now during the season,
so do I.
Between April 1st and November 1st, we're often tasked, I guess is the term, with retaining water to prevent flooding downriver. So you folks in Ypsi and Ann Arbor can be assured that we will hold extra water. Every inch that we raise our water in order to keep and then we eventually let go, obviously. Otherwise we'd be flooding towns like Milford and White Lake above us,
Well, you say that like it's a bad thing. But
people in Ann Arbor would say, yes, do that. Save our town. Screw that.
Pretty much, yes. That's. Although if one were to flood Ypsi, that would only be considered a net benefit by and large. My Ypsi antipathy still comes shining through.
From what I've seen in Ypsi, the Huron is very deep in Ypsi. There's a lot of high banks. So if it did go up, it would still remain a river.
Well, bear in mind that we've just outside of Ypsi, we have Ford Lake, Belleville Lake, which are also two
impoundments created by dams.
There you go.
Mm-hmm. Both those lakes were small.
We should summon our dear friend Coram, who's probably on a pontoon boat as we speak, out on Ford Lake, because that's what he likes to do.
That's
You know,
just,
when he's not swanning about as the president of his compound of his condo association. He
Well,
loves all the
what's wild about impoundments is most lakes, your shoreline is 0 for depth. Then it's
Mhm.
1 inch, 2, and it keeps going deeper and deeper. It's going to an impoundment. The water just would fill in as it was being held back. So parts of that lake were created faster than other parts.
Mm.
The water would fill into the deepest part of the lake, and some of the shallower parts were the last things to be filled. We do have like about
There's
3
probably
islands.
Indian settlements at the bottom of that lake, right?
You're probably right. Most of the, here's something I found out working there. The Huron Indians
Yeah.
Yes.
didn't call themselves Huron Indians. That's a French name that
Yeah.
the French gave them. And the Hurons are, well, the people that are considered Huron,
The
but they call
Anishinaabe?
themselves something else, whatever they are. But anyway, they are insulted by the name Huron. They're insulted by the name Huron because it was given to them by the French. I go, a lot of people don't get along with the French. Get used to it, fellas.
But to say being insulted by the French is kind of what they do, isn't it? I mean, last time I checked, that's sort of
What is,
their.
what is Huron? What does Huron mean?
Insulting other people
Let's look
groups
that
is
up.
the French job, I believe.
Let's look that up. See what Huron means. Insults.
I think that wasn't. It's Iroquois or Chippewa.
I think
who
we're Ottawa down here. Aren't we
It could
Ottawa
be.
Indian?
could
I
be.
think we may have Kickapoo too. I don't know.
No, I don't think so.
That's another one. Say that again. I think you got the pronunciation wrong. But what's that one, Andy?
Kickapoo.
Not Kickapoo. It's something with a P.
Not from Michigan. Potawatomi.
Maybe Potawatomi.
Potawatomi. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, hang on. A second.
Because the Domino's Pizza that I used to manage in Ann Arbor near the Huron River sat very near the ancient Potawatomi Trail, which followed the Huron River.
What are the
surprisingly
native
enough.
tribes who occupied the Huron River waterbed? Watershed. Okay, here we go. The watershed of the Huron River was occupied by Chippewa, Ottawa, and Potawatomi. So
There you
we
go.
were all 3 of us were right. I said Ottawa, Andy said Potawatomi, Jason said Chippewa. 3 for 3, baby. Our team got it.
There you go.
Okay. Here's what Huron means in the French. Nickname for someone with an untidy head of shaggy hair.
That makes
That's
sense.
why they
yes.
hated it.
Yeah.
That's why they hated it. They called them the Hurons.
Well, that's why the French soldier in their World War I was referred to as the poilu, which means hairy one, because they would be in the trenches and come out with beards and whatnot. And
All right. What does Huron mean in Spanish language?
not a damn
Huron.
thing.
Unsociable.
Okay, well, the Spanish never made it up here before
No.
this became a country, so
No,
they only had to
no.
deal with the French and the English up here.
Okay. What does Huron mean in Iroquois?
Give it to us.
It means boar's head. For this hairstyle
Man.
of Ouidat men, of lout or ruffian in Old French.
You're not helping
Boar's
out.
head.
You're not helping out the French any in this. You're
Nah. Imagine, the fighting spirit of the Eastern Michigan Hurons.
That's right.
You're a bunch of roughnecks.
Yeah, no, yeah. I believe they were much rougher as Hurons than they were as Eagles.
Yeah.
Well, I don't recognize the Eagles. They're the Hurons. That's
They should
it.
be the emus, the fighting emus. They should
I
be-
love the
I
emus.
would rather that. I would rather the emus.
Where is the rich alumnus that's going to get that to happen? Come on.
I just think it's a great shirt. To have like.
Well, Mark,
the
once
fighting
you
emus?
say you go to EMU, you negate the possibility of the rich alumnus. I mean, it's sort of like a contradiction in terms. Speaking as a graduate of our dear Eastern Michigan University,
Max Crosby's doing okay.
He is
EMU graduates.
He is a edge rusher for the Los Angeles Raiders.
Well, okay, good. Yeah, all right, that's one.
Future Hall of Famer. Hold
There you
on.
go. And the guy
Who are the richest Eastern Michigan University graduates? Huh?
Oh.
Here we go. The richest.
Okay, so Lake Huron was actually called by the inhabitants, the natives.
Okay, you ready? All right,
Le
here we
mer
go.
douce.
What is it?
Let's get.
Le mer douce, the sweet or fresh water sea. The mer douce.
Are you ready to get down to the
Noted.
nitty gritty?
Yes, Mark. Mark, yes, give it to us.
Okay, here we go. John Harvey Kellogg, a physician, a health evangelist, and a businessman known for the breakfast cereal cornflakes, was an Eastern Michigan University graduate.
Oh,
guess-
Kellogg.
Yeah,
Kellogg.
yeah.
Come on.
And guess what end of the human anatomy he spent most of the time working on?
on his rear end.
Well, that's pretty much it. Yeah, yeah.
Windsor.
Oh my God. He was,
Windsor
oh my God.
McKay. You ready for the next one? Windsor McKay, an early pioneer in animation, created the character Little Nemo.
Oh well, absolutely. Yeah, that I've got that one etched in the
All
back
right,
of
are
my
you ready?
head.
Here's one you guys may have heard of. Greg Mathis, a judge and television personality known for his courtroom show. Greg Mathis is an
Greg,
Eastern
all
Michigan.
right. Okay.
Dan Florek, an actor known for his role as Captain Donald Cragen on the television
All right.
series
Dan
Law and
Florek.
Order.
You got him.
Afton Williamson, an actress who has appeared in various television shows and films. All right, we're not going to count her. I'm sorry. Ella Joyce, another actress in television and film roles. Again, never heard of her. Ekanini Nagarjuna, an Indian actor, producer, television presenter, and businessman primarily known for his work in Indian cinema. Well, there you go, right? If he's
Right
in
there.
Indian cinema,
Yeah.
that is about as loaded as you can get. Oh my God!
It's loaded like
Which
a
means-
lower colon. Yeah, I mean, no
in,
doubt
in,
about
in,
that.
in India, even the producers and financiers of the films have to know how to dance. I mean, that's how into dance they are.
There you go. I mean, again, we could ask our dear not Indian friend but Pakistani friend Kuram again about that. Where is Kuram? We need to summon him. We absolutely have to. We're missing his presence here at this point.
Ben Carson.
Yeah, he did his
former
undergraduate
Secretary of
work
Housing
there.
and Urban Development. Yeah.
Oh, the Hurons actually call themselves the Wendat.
Andy, we've moved on from the
Windads?
Indian names, okay?
The
Yeah,
Wendat.
we've moved on.
We're mocking rich people. We're what?
We're talking about EMU graduates, okay?
Well,
Oh,
you
you'll never
left
guess
out
who
the
make- you'll
most
never guess.
famous one.
You'll never guess who tops. You'll never guess who tops the top 10. Not tops it, but it's in the top.
Probably
10.
the guy who owes a discount tire, Von Voigtlander.
You're gonna love this one. You ready? Comedian John Heffron.
Yes.
Yes.
He's an EMU grad. That's what I was going to say. Heffron.
Yep.
Quarterback.
Almost
Charlie
rhymes with
Bass.
Huron. Yeah.
Still working
Hey,
the
and also,
tie-in.
who's the other? Who's it?
Shirley Spork, an EMU graduate, was one of the founders of the LPGA Tour. So she's worth $3 million.
Well, there you go.
Who was that?
Shirley Spork. You
Got
would have
it.
thought she invented the combination spoon and fork.
Yeah,
but
you'd think it would be eating
No, she
utensils
was-
would be her.
Yeah,
Be-
she invented the LPGA, but it's easy to putt there because of her name Spork. That helps the holes.
Absolutely.
Who else we got? Michael Bailey Smith. Do you know who that is? Oh, now we're getting into actors that we've never heard of again. He was in Nightmare on Elm Street 5.
Oh well, who
course it's an
doesn't
EMU
remember the cast of
Of course,
that?
he's an EMU grad.
Yeah, I mean, what else could he be? I mean,
Oh, this article. Oh, TJ Lang is worth $20 million.
well,
He played for the Packers. That's where he made his money.
I
Ryan Drummond is worth $85 million, and his claim to fame is he's the voice for Sonic the Hedgehog.
well, there's that.
That's where.
There's that.
Oh, I didn't know he was an EMU grad. Jack Roush,
Roush Racing.
owner of the Roush Fenway, the racing team, the Roush Racing team.
Yeah.
The
Yeah, he's worth
Anishinaabe are the
300 million.
Ottawa, Ojibwe, and Potawatomi. Okay.
Okay. Again, Andy, I will prompt you gently that we have moved on from the Indian theme. We're not giving it back. So
All right,
we
here we
only
go.
need to pay lip
All right,
service.
here we go. And
They
the
were left
richest,
behind for years. They were
At the top
ignored
of the
for
list,
years.
at the top of the
I'm
list.
just
of
trying to
John
bring them
Heffron-
back.
Thank you.
At the top of the list of which John Heffron was at the bottom of the wealthiest EMU grads. And
Yes.
You probably don't know his name, but you know his company. The founder and chairman of Discount Tire.
Yeah, Van
His name
Voigtlander.
is Bruce Halley.
Bruce Halley? No, it's Van Voigtlander. Whatever. Yeah, Halley Library. No, you're right. You're right. Halley Library, because I spent a lot of time in that library until I was banished.
5.2 billion. He is of that tire list. He tops it out at 5.2 billion. He needs to get involved.
Discount tires.
Yep, Discount Tire.
Yep.
Oh
no, he's dead. He's dead. Never mind. We can't use him. He's dead. Okay. Jack Roush is the live richest man. He's only 300 million.
Well, there's that.
Well, I had a great experience at Discount Tires.
Nice.
Oh, tell me about it.
I had a tire that was showing threads on the side.
Yes.
Is that a sarcastic?
I could only afford the one replacement, so I took it in. I said, "Look, I got to replace this one tire. Would you like to replace both of them?" "No, I cannot.
No.
I have only enough to replace the one tire." I picked the tire that has threads showing. The other tire is bald as hell, but I have one tire that has threads. I have to get to this one tire. So I said, "Okay, no special. Just get the tire on. That's all I want you to do. Just get the tire on." So I take it to the back. The guy comes up. "We went to put 2 tires on. We're going to give you another tire because the other one looks so bad. We were afraid you would be killing yourself on the road." So I got a free tire.
So the Discount Tire guys are French too, apparently.
Everybody's French who does good things, you know. But the guy basically said, because
because they have so much tread, we shall call them Huron tires.
The Huron tires. The Ashinabi, as you can have an Ashinabi help with the side, you know. The side white walls, the Ashinabi.
You have to do that as James Mason. I mean, that's really
the Ashinabi.
Exactly.
I know. Exactly. I went to Discount Tires. I've been a loyal buyer of Discount Tires all my life. Yes.
You can't.
I don't know. I went to him and said, don't let the boys come out and play with you. Don't let the dirty boys talk to you. No.
Has there ever been anyone more pathetic in cinema than his role in Lolita? I mean, you just see this wreck of humanity that it's like, oh my God, this is painful. I mean, you know, that is one very bleak movie. I'm sorry, I don't know how we got from Discount Tires to Lolita, but yet here we are, and
we're putting that in the ads for the show.
Absolutely.
From Discount Tires to Lolita.
Right. After this, we're gonna break down lighter moments of the Jim Jarmusch.
There we go. Lolita, could I have a new tire, Lolita, please? Sure, we'll have a lot of tires for you.
Remember the scene in that movie when Shelley Winters figures out what's going on? Oh, God. Oh dear. Well, it's been a while since I've.
She married her to get to her daughter.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It is.
Susan and Jim Jarmusch and I were stuck in under an awning in a rainstorm on our way from our parking to Comerica Park to see the Tigers one time.
Wow.
He was in town. We found out that he was supposed to be with Iggy Pop that day, but Iggy bailed out at the end, so he went to the Tiger game on his own. And I didn't even recognize him. I was with Jim McLean, and Jim McLean said, "Are you Jim Jarmusch?" He goes, "Yeah." And so we started. Here we were in a rainstorm, waiting for the Wayne to clear. We were on either Randolph or Broadway. I can't remember, but we parked down by City Hall because my wife had free parking because she works down there. And so we made it halfway to the stadium, and it started pouring. And so standing there with Jim McLean and my wife and I is Jim Jarmusch, who was supposed to be with Iggy Pop. That would have been a great story if Iggy Pop had made it, wouldn't it?
Well,
it's cool enough as it is.
McLean. What is he doing? What's Jim McLean doing now?
Carpentry.
What's that?
Carpentry and home inspections.
So he's not doing stand-up at all anymore?
No, he's not doing stand-up at all. He does carpentry and home inspections.
Wow. Why
In
does
fact,
he
I
give up?
think why did he give up comedy?
Yeah.
Have you seen it lately? Have you seen comedy lately?
Yeah. But he started that whole trend. So,
What about people staying on stage too long? That trend, is that what you're talking about?
yeah, sort of.
The
I
trend
guess.
of the trend of horrible comedy. That trend.
Well,
I like Jim. I like Jim McClane. I always liked him. I gave him more of his middle slots than anybody.
Mm-hmm.
He and T Barb. Who else did I used to work a lot with? Red Call. What's his name? Kurram Sheik. He's a great opening act. Because you know what I mean. He's always topical. It's always going to be something fresh. Even if it's not that great, it's always, and the audience is paying attention to him, and he engages the audience. And when he does topical stuff, did you hear this story? And then he'll get everyone involved in the show, and everybody's paying attention. He's a great opening act.
Yeah.
You don't have to be the funniest guy.
I emceed a couple of times with Jim McClane.
What's that?
I emceed a couple of times with Jim McClane. We were actually up in Alpena once. Yeah. And also down in. He was the. I think.
I felt like for the last 20 years I was trying to keep him in the business just because I liked him so much.
So he basically, but he was headlining. He was headlining shows. Jim McClane.
Not when I. Well, he wasn't when I before I moved to. Well, I met him when I was already living in LA, and he was the opening act for me in Lansing when I was headlining. Okay. And then we became close friends. We became very close friends. You have to, if you ever see him again, if we ever get him on the show, we got to tell him this. We got to have him tell the story of it was Jim, and then a middle act, and then me. And he'll remember the middle act's name because the middle act said to me as he's coming off the stage, "Follow that motherfucker," because the guy he smoked the room, and of course everyone that's anybody knows that it's not the thing to do. I mean, it's the type of, now. It isn't the thing to do, but it happened, and Jim tells a great story about it. Anyway, so you know what, and it's been hard to track him down. He's really tried to stay away from comedy. I think it depressed him too much. I mean, because he had gotten to be a headliner, and then he, it's everything was about people trying to tear him down. He started sounding like Lenny Bruce, started talking about people trying to tear him down and all that kind of stuff. Still a funny guy. Great carpenter, though.
Yeah.
And home inspections. How can you go wrong there?
He had a bad contract with somebody. I think one of the agents.
He had a bad contract. Well, he had a bad contract with somebody. Okay, I'm not going to tell. When we're done, I'll tell you some Jim. I'm not going to say anything on the air about what I know about Jim McClane. But some of the
not about the night at the Motel 6 and the half dozen hookers and the.
The only gripe I had against Jim McClane, he was middling.
We knew how close you were, Jason. But I'm not going to say anything more.
No, we're not. We're certainly not going to. The fact that a doctor, a lawyer, and a bail bondsman were all contacted the next morning. Yeah.
The only Jim McClane story that I had my nieces and nephews. They're all 8. A niece, 2 nieces.
Oh, I've heard this story. But I've heard this story before.
Yeah. So it was.
Is this the Pine Knob story?
Yeah. So
I
want to take him. My brother let me take him out there. So Jim McClane is the MC, and he's opening for Dave Coulier and Miller. Your favorite Miller,
Dennis
Miller,
not Mrs., but Dennis
Miller, yes,
right, not Mrs. Miller. So that's a different person.
So my nieces wanted to see Dave Coulier because he was on Home Improvement,
not
Home Improvement, but whatever that movie. Oh my God, you got time happening. Anyway, what happens is he goes up, squares up a storm, makes it tough for Dave Coulier to follow him. But I'm going like, kids, hide your ears. Put your hands over your ears, kids.
All right, guys.
That's our hour, boys, and Jason's got to get to the airport. So cut it off right at an hour. Everybody's back. Stay on just for a second, Jason. Cut it off right now. You got to at the end of the show. All right, good night, everybody. We're back every Wednesday night at 8 o'clock. And then it stays on YouTube the rest of the week. So look it up. The channel's out there. This the off night on YouTube. Search it. This is episode number 267. Good night, everybody. We'll see you.